Every manufacturer has built legendary bikes that changed the industry forever, but for every masterpiece, there's a machine they'd rather you forgot. Today, we're counting down 15 motorcycles that prove even the giants can stumble spectacularly. These aren't just unpopular bikes, they're engineering disasters, sales catastrophes, and reputation-destroying machines that cost their makers millions and left riders stranded, frustrated, or worse. Before we dive into this hall of shame, hit that hype button if you think your favorite manufacturer made the list. Trust me, nobody's getting out of this one clean. Let's see if we can get this video hyped up faster than those bikes broke down. Number 15. Ariel Pixie, 1958 through 1960. Starting our countdown is Britain's Ariel Pixie, a 50cc moped that proved size doesn't matter when it comes to spectacular failure. Ariel attempted to compete with Honda's wildly successful Cub series using antiquated tooling rescued from post-war NSU and DKW factories in Germany. The result was a motorcycle built with 1940s technology trying to compete in the emerging 1960s market. The Pixie's BSA-derived 75cc OHV engine was chosen over the originally planned OHC design for cost-cutting reasons, immediately handicapping it against Honda's precision-engineered competitors. While Honda churned out tens of thousands of reliable machines using state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment and tight tolerances, Ariel struggled with outdated machinery at BSA's Small Heath factory. The British motorcycle industry's stubborn resistance to modernization started showing fatal cracks here. The Pixie failed to capture the massive Asian market that Honda dominated, and British buyers saw through the outdated engineering immediately. Production numbers remained embarrassingly low, and the Pixie disappeared quietly while Honda went on to dominate the small displacement market for decades. This wasn't just a failed motorcycle, it was a warning sign of the British motorcycle industry's impending collapse. The Pixie became a symbol of how quickly Japanese manufacturers were about to revolutionize motorcycling through superior manufacturing methods and modern engineering approaches. Number 14. BMW F650 Funduro, 1993 through 2000. BMW had just created two revolutionary motorcycle categories, the Sport Adventure Tourer and the ADV bike. Riding high on success, they partnered with Aprilia and asked themselves, what if we make a bike that does both? The F650 Funduro was their answer, and it spectacularly missed the mark. The Funduro came in various configurations, including the Strada version for road use and the GS variant for adventure riders. It promised to combine the lightweight agility of an enduro, the reliability of a sport tourer, and the ruggedness of an ADV machine. Instead, buyers received an underpowered, unreliable motorcycle plagued with mechanical issues. The most catastrophic problem involved head bearings so poorly designed and manufactured that they could seize the engine mid-ride, creating an extremely dangerous situation for riders. BMW's attempt to create a jack-of-all-trades resulted in a master of none. The bike couldn't match dedicated enduro bikes off-road, lacked the comfort for serious touring, and didn't have the power sport riders demanded. The collaboration with Aprilia added complexity without benefits, and quality control issues plagued production throughout its 7-year run. The Funduro taught BMW a valuable lesson about focus in motorcycle design. Trying to be everything to everyone meant being nothing to anybody. Future BMW dual sport offerings would learn from these expensive mistakes. Number 13. Buell Battle Twin R1000 and 1200, 1987 through 1989. Eric Buell was an engineering genius with radical ideas about motorcycle design, but the Battle Twin proved that aerodynamics shouldn't override basic aesthetics and functionality. This controversial machine wrapped heavyweight Harley-Davidson air-cooled engines in fully enclosed bodywork that looked like it was designed by someone who'd never actually seen a motorcycle. Approximately 100 Battle Twins rolled off the production line, 50 powered by the XR1000 engine, and just over 50 using the 1200 Evo Sportster mill. The bulbous, fully enclosed fairings were supposed to improve aerodynamic efficiency and reduce drag, but instead turned the air-cooled engine into a furnace, creating severe overheating problems. The massive front mudguard dominated the bike's profile, while the rear bodywork earned comparisons to, as one reviewer memorably stated, a hippo with diarrhea. Buell's obsession with engineering efficiency and aerodynamics completely ignored rider expectations and market demands. The Battle Twin's radical departure from conventional motorcycle design alienated potential buyers who couldn't get past its bizarre appearance. While Buell would never achieve success with more conventionally styled sport bikes, the Battle Twin remains a reminder that revolutionary engineering means nothing if nobody wants to be seen riding your creation. Sometimes brilliant engineering needs to compromise with basic market realities and aesthetic expectations. Number 12. Husqvarna 125 CR, 1984. Husqvarna had been building championship-winning motorcycles since 1903, boasting a racing pedigree that included numerous world titles and legendary riders. Their motorcycles had dominated European motocross throughout the 60s and 70s. Then came the 1984 125 CR, a bike so comprehensively awful it's been virtually erased from Husqvarna's otherwise stellar history. During the mid-80s technological revolution, manufacturers experimented with everything from reed valves to boost bottles to power valves. Japanese manufacturers were pushing boundaries with water cooling, sophisticated suspension, and reliable power plants. Husqvarna somehow managed to build a 125 that combined outdated technology with poorly executed new ideas. The suspension was harsh and unpredictable, offering neither comfort nor control. The power delivery was erratic, with a narrow, unpredictable power band that made the bike nearly impossible to ride competitively. Build quality and reliability were non-existent, with frequent mechanical failures that left riders stranded trackside. While Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki advanced the sport with each model year, the 125CR felt like it had traveled backward in time. The bike was so bad that many Husqvarna dealers refused to stock them, and those who did often couldn't give them away. Veterans of the era still wince when this particular model is mentioned, and Husqvarna learned valuable lessons about maintaining quality standards during rapid technological change. Number 11. Cannondale MX400, 01 through 03. Cannondale dominated the high-end motorcycle market with revolutionary aluminum frames and innovative design, so naturally CEO Joe Montgomery thought they could revolutionize motocross. The MX400 was going to change everything with electronic fuel injection, reversed cylinder heads, high-mounted airboxes, and radical frame geometry that challenged every conventional motocross design principle. The problems started immediately. The fuel injection system, revolutionary on paper, failed catastrophically in dusty motocross conditions, leaving riders with dead bikes mid-race. The reversed cylinder head created impossible cooling challenges that no amount of engineering could solve. The unique design meant zero parts compatibility with existing components, making repairs expensive and time-consuming. Every innovative feature became a liability in real-world conditions. Cannondale burned through millions trying to fix the unfixable, with each solution creating new problems. Montgomery's passion-driven approach that worked brilliantly in bicycles proved disastrous in the demanding world of motocross racing. When the stock market crashed in the early 2000s, it pushed Cannondale into bankruptcy, taking their motorcycle dreams with it. The company was eventually bought out, returning to bicycles, where they belonged. The MX400 remains a perfect cautionary tale about the dangers of trying to revolutionize everything at once, instead of building on proven foundations. Number 10. Honda-Matic CB400T, 1978 through 81. The late 70s motorcycle scene was dominated by the pursuit of speed and performance, with manufacturers locked in horsepower wars. Honda looked at this landscape of screaming two-strokes and fire-breathing superbikes and inexplicably decided to build a slow automatic motorcycle with a parking brake. The CB400T dream was actually a competent parallel twin until Honda bolted their Honda-Matic transmission to it. This engineering disaster featured a 2-speed semi-automatic gearbox with a heavy torque converter that sapped power and added substantial weight. The transmission had 2 forward gears, slow and slower, that still required manual selection, defeating the entire purpose of an automatic. Instead of a tachometer, Honda installed a gear position indicator for riders who apparently couldn't count to 2. Small carburetors strangled the engine to provide enough low-end torque for the converter to function, further reducing already compromised performance. The result was an underpowered, overweight machine that appealed to absolutely nobody. Experienced riders wanted real motorcycles with clutches. New riders who feared shifting bought scooters that offered storage and true twist-and-go operation. The Honda-Matic couldn't tour, couldn't perform, and couldn't even commute effectively. Honda stubbornly produced these for 4 years before admitting defeat. The Honda-Matic proved that solving non-existent problems creates very real failures. Number 9. Yamaha Niken, 2018 through present. Yamaha engineers apparently examined the motorcycle market and decided what riders really wanted was unnecessary complexity at premium prices. The Niken uses the excellent MT09 triple-cylinder engine, but adds a second front wheel through an incredibly complex leaning multi-wheel system that adds weight, cost, and mechanical complexity for benefits that exist primarily in marketing materials. The dual front wheels supposedly provide extra grip and confidence, but skilled riders don't need them, and new riders can't afford the premium price tag. The system adds nearly 100 pounds to the MT09's weight while destroying its agility. Sport bike riders want 2 wheels for maximum lean angles and feedback. Touring riders are perfectly served by the Tracer 9. 3-wheel buyers looking for stability don't lean anyway, making the complex tilting system pointless. The Niken occupies a market segment of exactly nobody. Yamaha dealers report they've sold more promotional posters about the Niken than actual motorcycles. Demonstration models sit untouched in showrooms while customers walk past to buy conventional bikes that cost less and perform better. The technology is impressive, but it solves a problem that doesn't exist at a price nobody wants to pay. The Niken proves that just because engineering can create something doesn't mean the market wants or needs it. Number 8. Aprilia Moto 6.5, 1995 through 2000. When motorcycle manufacturer Aprilia hired fashion designer Felipe Stark to design a bike, they created a rolling disaster that proved motorcycles need to be designed by people who understand motorcycles. The Moto 6.5 wasn't just aesthetically challenged, it was fundamentally wrong in every measurable way, from ergonomics to engineering. Stark, famous for furniture and household items, approached motorcycle design as an art project rather than creating a functional vehicle. The proportions were completely wrong, with bizarre angles and dimensions that made the bike uncomfortable and awkward to ride. The seat was too high, the bars too narrow, the tank shape prevented proper knee grip, and the overall ergonomics seemed designed for someone with alien anatomy. Even the name sounded like a spreadsheet cell reference rather than a motorcycle. The 650cc Rotax single-cylinder engine was competent but overwhelmed by the bike's poor design. Handling was unpredictable, with strange weight distribution that made cornering an adventure. The styling was so polarizing that dealers couldn't move inventory even with massive discounts. Production finally ended after 5 years of dismal sales. The Moto 6.5 proved definitively that motorcycles require designers who understand the relationship between rider and machine, not artists making sculptural statements. Number 7. BMW R1200C, 1997 through 2004. BMW in the 90s was experiencing an identity crisis. The roadster market wasn't substantial, touring bikes sold to an aging demographic, and the adventure segment hadn't exploded yet. Watching Harley-Davidson print money with chrome cruisers, BMW decided to build their own. The R1200C was even featured in the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies, which was like having 007 drive a minivan. The R1200C somehow managed to look simultaneously overweight and underdeveloped. BMW's engineers tried to create a cruiser that handled well, completely missing the point that cruiser buyers prioritize style and comfort over cornering abilities. The styling was a confused mashup of retro and modern elements that appealed to neither traditionalists nor modernists. The reliable boxer engine couldn't overcome fundamental conceptual problems. BMW threw technology at it, fuel injection, ABS, heated grips, but couldn't understand that cruiser buyers wanted emotional connections, not German efficiency. The riding position was wrong for a cruiser, the styling was wrong for BMW purists, and the price was wrong for everyone. Production limped along for 7 years before BMW admitted defeat. The R1200C proved that precision engineering and quality components can't overcome a fundamental misunderstanding of your target market. Sometimes a company's core identity simply doesn't translate across categories. Number 6. Harley-Davidson AMF era shovelhead, 1969 through 1980. When American Machine and Foundry, AMF, bought Harley-Davidson in 1969, they had zero experience building motorcycles or understanding motorcycle culture. The result was the darkest period in Harley's history, nearly destroying America's most iconic motorcycle brand through corporate mismanagement and quality control disasters. The 1970s AMF-era shovelhead engines became synonymous with unreliability. AMF pushed for increased production without investing in quality control or modernization. Engines leaked oil so badly that parking a Harley meant creating permanent stains. Electrical systems failed randomly, leaving riders stranded. Transmissions gave up without warning. Bikes literally left the factory with loose bolts, misaligned components, and incorrect parts. Workers, demoralized by corporate cost-cutting, had no pride in their products. The shovelhead engine itself was an antiquated design that AMF's engineers kept trying to squeeze more power from without addressing fundamental problems. Each increase in displacement or compression made reliability worse. Japanese motorcycles were offering superior performance, reliability, and value, while AMF was producing expensive, unreliable nostalgia. The company's recovery from the AMF era required a complete cultural revolution, employee buyout, and decades of rebuilding trust. Veterans still use AMF as shorthand for adios, motherfucker, what riders said when their bikes inevitably broke down. Number 5. Victory V92C transmission, 1999 through 2001. Victory motorcycles launched in '98 as Polaris's attempt to challenge Harley-Davidson with American-made performance cruisers. Their inaugural V92C featured innovative design, solid engineering, and one catastrophic flaw that nearly killed the brand before it started: a transmission that would randomly self-destruct, sometimes locking the rear wheel at highway speeds. The 99 had weak shift forks subject to bending, while later models had heat treatment issues making gears brittle. Third gear was particularly vulnerable, failing catastrophically and sending metal fragments throughout the transmission. Victory issued recalls and designed a rear sprocket cushion drive kit to address the issue under abnormal overload conditions, though parts weren't immediately available. Some owners went through multiple transmissions under warranty. The recommended fix eventually became replacing the entire Hammer engine with a later Freedom motor, essentially admitting the original design was unfixable. The transmission problems overshadowed everything good about the V92C, its innovative design, powerful engine, and American manufacturing. First impressions matter enormously in the motorcycle industry, and Victory spent years trying to overcome the reputation earned by their first product. When your brand new American motorcycle company's inaugural model requires complete engine swaps to function reliably, you've failed at the most fundamental level of manufacturing. Number 4. Honda DN01, 2008 through 2010. Honda's DN01 represented a $100 million gamble on automatic transmission technology and futuristic styling that failed so spectacularly, dealers created their own bitter acronyms. Dealers joked DN01 stood for Do Not Order One, while riders said it meant Do Not Own One. Starting at $15 grand in 2009, it was priced like a premium motorcycle but delivered confusion and disappointment. The human-friendly transmission CVT worked adequately, but the bike suffered from an identity crisis. Too heavy for commuting at 595 pounds, no storage like practical scooters, uncomfortable for touring, and styled like someone fed anime screenshots into a computer and hit randomize. Ground clearance was so poor that gentle corners would have footboards scraping pavement. The swash plate angle motor would disintegrate with age, with the dealers quoting 645 pounds for replacement. Owners reported electrical problems, transmission failures, and numerous other issues. The DN01 couldn't decide if it was a cruiser, sport bike, or scooter, so it failed at being any of them. Honda lost a fortune on development and unsold inventory. Dealers couldn't move units even with massive discounts. The DN01 proved that innovation without clear purpose is just expensive failure, and that automatic transmissions alone don't make motorcycles more accessible to new riders. Number 3. Kawasaki H2 Mach 4, 1972 through 75. Kawasaki had already built the H1 Mach 3 500, a bike that earned the nickname Green Meanie for its tendency to hurt riders. Their response to criticism? Build something more powerful. The H2 Mach 4 packed a 750cc two-stroke triple making 74 horsepower into essentially the same inadequate chassis, creating a true widowmaker. The frame might as well have been constructed from rubber bands for all the rigidity it provided. Front forks were so undersized that they couldn't properly support the bike's weight, much less control it at speed. Braking consisted of a single disc up front and a drum rear, neither remotely capable of managing the performance. The rear wheel was positioned too far forward, creating a severe rearward weight bias that made the front end light and unpredictable. The power delivery was binary, nothing or everything, usually arriving mid-corner. Kawasaki bragged about its 125 mph top speed, conveniently ignoring that reaching it required a death wish. The H2 would wheelie unpredictable, swap ends without warning, and generally try to kill its rider at every opportunity. The suspension was overwhelmed by normal riding, never mind the violence the engine produced. The H2 Mach 4 remains the perfect example of 1970s excess. Too much power, too little everything else, and absolutely no concern for rider survival. Number 2. Bimota V-Do 500, 1997. Bimota promised to resurrect two-stroke sport bikes with revolutionary direct fuel injection technology that would deliver clean emissions and brutal power. The motorcycling world was genuinely excited. Finally, two-stroke performance without environmental guilt. The V-Do was gorgeous, exotic, and completely, catastrophically broken from day one. The fuel injection system simply didn't work, leaving riders with either no power or sudden full power, generally when needed least, like mid-corner. Without traction control in 1997, this random power delivery made every ride a potentially lethal gamble. The system was so fundamentally flawed that no amount of refinement could fix it. Bikers reported the bike would cut out completely, then suddenly deliver full power while leaning over in corners. Bimota threw everything at fixing the V-Do, burning through development money with each failed attempt. The company never got it right, and the V-Do ended up bankrupting Bimota. Some customers waited years for promised fixes that never materialized. Others demanded refunds that the bankruptcy company couldn't provide. The V-Do remains a beautiful monument to engineering hubris, proof that one catastrophic flaw can destroy both a product and the company that created it. Number 1. The Suzuki TM400 Cyclone earns its position as the worst motorcycle ever sold by a major manufacturer through its comprehensive dedication to rider harm. Marketed as a budget racer's dream with great looks, big power, and rock-bottom pricing, the Cyclone quickly turned these dreams into nightmares. This wasn't just a bad motorcycle, it actually tried to kill anyone brave enough to ride it. The bike would actually throw riders off on straight level ground if they caught the torque band just right. It had a notoriously flexible frame, poor geometry, and a motor that was light switch quick. The 396cc 2-stroke single produced 40 horsepower with power delivery that arrived like a sledgehammer without warning. The suspension couldn't handle the weight, much less the violence of the engine. The frame geometry seemed designed by someone who fundamentally hated motorcyclists. By 1975, Suzuki had somewhat tamed it, but the reputation was cemented. In an era filled with dangerous crude motorcycles, the TM400 stood alone in its commitment to rider injury. Owners who survived often speak of it with a mixture of terror and respect. The Cyclone remains the benchmark for motorcycle failure. When engineers want to understand how bad a bike can be, they study the TM400. These 15 motorcycles serve as crucial reminders that innovation requires more than good intentions and bold engineering. Every manufacturer here learned expensive lessons from these failures, leading directly to the incredible machines we ride today. Sometimes the best teacher is spectacular failure. Did your least favorite bike make the list? Drop a comment below with your worst motorcycle experience, and if you enjoyed watching these manufacturing giants eat humble pie, subscribe for more brutal honesty about the bikes we love and the ones we'd rather forget. Remember, knowing what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to buy. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and avoid anything on this list showing up in your garage. Ride safe.